Welcome into another episode of Fourth and Five presented by Ortho Arkansas, and we are just going to go ahead and get right into it. The state of the program. What in the hell is happening up in Fayetteville? It seems like no one wants to stick around. And so, guys, let's get right into it. A lot of people have actually been asking for an episode, and I've kind of just sat back. I wanted to see all this stuff develop because sometimes being the first is not the best because there's just so many moving pieces, but we've been able to sit back, watch, and pretty have a good idea after having a couple conversations here or there of one, how things work, two, maybe some things that played into guys leaving. NIL, is it NIL? Is it a culture problem? We're going to address it all. And so that being said, real quick, guys, let's just get right into it. I mean, y'all have to be somewhere where I am like, yo, I mean, you got the top players on your team with all incentives coming back who are making pretty good money here at Arkansas and set up to be team captains and set up to be great career guys, all jumping ship. And they're doing it like this. I mean, your quick thoughts on state of the program right now.
Grant?
You don't want to go first?
Go ahead. I was zoned out anyways. But, I think it is concerning, but I don't know. Maybe the fans are the same way. I mean, I'm a fan, right? But I don't have necessarily more insight into this than anyone else. It's not a world that we really lived in. It's concerning, but why? I mean, I think that's the reason everybody wants to know. I mean, I think I saw the graphic, 21 guys in the portal thus far. Maybe it's more than that now. I'm not exactly sure, but somewhere around 20. The next closest is like at 17 or whatever, but it's like Mississippi State where you can kind of understand.
Ever been to Starkville?
Here, 2-3 wins, And for all intents and purposes, Arkansas was a couple of turnovers away from having 9 wins this season. And so what's going on, right?
Yeah.
I mean, that's what we all want to know. Is it money? Is it the NIL side of things where players are coming to the coach and saying, hey, look, I balled out this year. I want $2 million next year. And it's like, well, we can give you, we can give you $500,000. We can give you $600,000. And they're like, nah, never mind. I'm going to hit the portal.
Yeah.
Or is it a culture thing? Is it, is the locker room culture not what you would want it to be? I really don't know what the answer is, and I wish I did because maybe it could help solve some problems. But not that I have several $1 million I can drop into the program to help pay some of these.
All Grant Cook.
But I think that's my confusion, right? And everyone's confusion. What actually is happening?
We're going to give some details on that exact thing you just got through talking about here in a second. But Matt, real quick, thoughts on the state of the program?
Yeah, man, state of the program is I'm going to echo what you guys said and what the fans feel is definitely concerning, but I'm a hype guy, David. I am a hype guy, and I am secretly encouraged a little bit. Where is this all going to end up? Who's going to step up? We were talking about a little bit before we got on. Who's the Tom Brady? Where's the backup that's going to step up and be like, man, I get a shot in the SEC? Because you can go to the NFL.
He's in the portal. His name is right now. But go ahead.
I mean, there's good players on that team. We should be an 8-win, 9 team. I mean, regardless of hypotheticals, there's guys in that locker room that bench 400 pounds, that run a 4.3, that have 40-inch verticals. Like, they're athletically gifted enough to do it. So I'm a mindset guy. That's how I had to find my way onto the field, and it's concerning. There's definitely holes in the boat that we got to put our finger on or get a whole damn new boat, So there's a lot of moving parts in this offseason. This NIL stuff just makes it uniquely more of a hurdle versus like, oh man, our DBs were bad last year. Let's go recruit a DB. Now you got to recruit your locker room, right? We'll talk about that a little bit.
All right, so I'll kind of comment on both of y'all's opening statements. I'll say that, and Grant, I'll start with you about like we don't know what it is. Is it money? Is it something else? And you can kind of break this down into players, and I'll give you 2 for an example. I'll give you 3 for an example. You have your Lucas, kid who loves Arkansas, had an opportunity to go anywhere in the country, one of the top tight ends in the country, coming out, a very lucrative NIL deal. And I'll tell you this, I know the dude, and it's not about the money. It's about being a part of a program that is showing signs of competing at an extremely high level, winning games, and bettering your opportunities to get to the next level. Okay, so you're going to have this kind of category of guys of, where's this direction going? Are conversations had with coaches that are being received well? You have that group. Then you have, let's just say, a Braylon Russell situation, a freshman coming in, proving himself, and I'll just go ahead and tell you, Braylon was somewhere in this ballpark of, $70,000 to $90,000, and then this is where not only himself, but a big thing that's going on right now with NIL are these so-called agents. They're going around and they're shopping players. All right. Yeah. They're saying, hey, if this guy were to hop in the portal, how much could you get?
Right.
And then they go to the next guy. If this guy goes into the portal, so they get a good grasp. If this guy decides to hop in the portal, how much money they can get him. And then you throw on parents too, because they want their piece of the pie too. And parents, if you're listening to this, I know you understand the landscape of college football and the importance of getting your money and money now. I mean, have a God-given talent, and yes, you have opportunities now to set yourself up beyond the football field. But I want to make sure parents, you're doing what's best for your kid and not what's best for the entire family, because this is them. All right, put yourself and all that stuff aside. We need to do what's best for the individual player. I'm telling you, the rest will take care of itself. And so what you have is then Braylon gets some information saying, all right, I heard I could get $500,000. Let me go ahead and hop in this portal and then go talk to Coach Pittman and say, this is what I'm going for. All right. So you have that category. Okay. And then you have the category of Malachi Singleton. And this touches on what you just said, Matt. Who's the Tom Brady? Who's the guy that works diligently, waiting for his opportunity, waiting for any glimmer of, okay, the coach has told me this is a competitive football team. Yeah. All we have to do is work. And when our opportunity is there, all that hard work is going to pay off and I'm going to get my shot. And think about Malachi, ultimate team player. Every time Taylor threw a touchdown, had a touchdown run, first dude on the sideline doing a celebration, Malachi Singleton. Yeah. Now, myself, and I'm assuming y'all too, I thought there were plenty of opportunities of inconsistent play from Taylor that I felt maybe we give this guy a look. And I think that's all he wanted. And based off of what conversations were probably had, he understood that look probably wasn't going to come anytime soon.
Yeah.
And that's where coaches are going to have to be in a very, very diligent, they have to approach this very diligently of when you convince and you tell these players, hey, just be patient. Your moment will come. And when it comes, you got to be ready. And when that moment comes and you get passed up, this is what happens when you have the portal. There is no more, he'll just kind of sit back and wait. He's good. You lose guys who could potentially be extremely good for your program. Yeah. And then you have to start over from scratch of bringing in new people and have them learning a completely new playbook like this. Yeah. And so there's so many different avenues to what is going on, but the unfortunate scenarios are kind of more like your Luke Hazes. And then the ones that I'm not surprised, and this is the coaching thing that is very interesting to me, is Coach Pittman said back in the day, once you put your name in the portal, you're done. There is no coming back.
Whoa.
He switched up on that. He's like, whoa. Now you got your freshman running back who's approaching it like a business. Yeah. And that was pretty interesting to see that Coach Pittman has kind of changed his stance on that by allowing him to hop out of the portal and entertain coming back to the team. And so, because now it's a business. And so coaches have to get on board with that now too. I don't like it. I know a lot of fans don't like it. It's not going to change the fact it is the way that it is. And then you have the other cases, okay? This is what's fascinating to me, is these players that are hearing from other people, man, if you keep your red shirt, you could potentially transfer and go get some money somewhere else. Patrick Kudus. I mean, that was very, very fascinating to me. Grant will come right back after this phone call. You'll be fine. But you have conversations Pittman had with Kudus. Hey, you're not going to transfer, are you, if we keep you this red shirt? Because we'd love to have you a few more years. No, coach, I'm here.
Man,
he's gone.
Ain't nobody redshirting in my locker room.
You have Jalen Braxton, who had, like I said, the world's worst case of tendonitis I've ever seen after week 2 at Oklahoma State. I mean, I've never seen tendonitis hold somebody out that long. And Coach Pittman, every week, he's day-to-day. We may have him back this week. We could have him back this week. No, you knew damn well if he was going to be back or not by that time. And now he's in the transfer portal. And then you said, we are not going to allow players to try to save their red shirt for them to, even if they're healthy, because if they're healthy, they need to help the team. And
Right.
that's where the Varkese Gums thing get a little interesting, because that had a big reason why he was kicked off the team. They believed he was trying to say he was hurt so he could save his red shirt and then potentially transfer, so there's a little inconsistency of what the standard is when it comes to health and availability. So all of these things wrapped up, guys, to me, it just sounds like it's a mess. It really does, because I've said so many different things. We didn't even talk about TJ Metcalf, who was the heart and soul of our secondary, and he's gone, and it's just these are the things when you kind of lay these out where it is almost impossible to figure out what is happening, because all of that just makes it sound like these guys are ball players and they could do very well here at Arkansas. Yeah. But to me, it sounds like they no longer believe what is being told to them when it comes to this program. And it's hard not to say it starts at top with the head coach. And I know that's going to sound like me pointing the blame on Sam Pittman. It really isn't. But if Sam Pittman, our head coach, isn't sitting there, trying to figure out why do these guys don't want to play for me anymore? Because these were his guys. They love them, but they're just checking out. And Matt, you wrote it there on that sheet of paper. And this is what is very hard for us to do as former players, to explain exactly what that culture means, that people don't want to be a part of it. So I'll let you take the first crack at it, Matt.
Man, I'll give you a great example of it right here. You're looking at three guys that met in the early 2000s, and here we are in almost 2025. I was a class of 05, 20 years ago. Crazy. We're still here together because we didn't have the option to jump portal. I would have jumped probably with a coaching shift like that. I mean, it just, people can't put, and you said it great, like you can't really put your thumb on culture. It's hard to create. My best example, like visually, tangibly, is the Detroit Lions and Dan Campbell, right? Houston Nutt had it at Arkansas. He turned 2 and 3 stars into 4 and 5 stars, and he made you fall in love with Arkansas and the Razorbacks and the state. We used to watch a video. I don't know if he did this when y'all came, but we'd watch like a flyover of the whole state and the song Arkansas, and everyone's all these different areas and lions and tigers and bears. And this isn't a Houston Nutt speech, but man, how important is that locker room now? Mm-hmm. You have to recruit the locker room, and we love each other like a good championship team does. What's the difference between the first best team and the second best team? It's very small, very minor, but usually it's, you hear these movies all the time. Look at the guy to your right, look at the guy to your left, fight for them. That's the secret sauce, man.
Yeah.
If you have a locker room, a bunch of individuals, hey, not my fault. Your body is a subconscious machine, man. If your good buddy is DJ Williams and Grant Cook and Vermont Broadway and your homies, like you love those dudes, like you'll fight harder. That's where you get the extra gas. And the NIL screwed that up. It's not so much a Sam Pittman thing, but look what Nick Saban did. When NIL came, he was like, peace, I'm out. Because it's a whole new coach. The old school coaches, I don't know if they're going to exist anymore. There's a new coaching regime. I mean, otherwise, think about this, DJ. I mean, you said you go and you get a new playbook. I mean, that resets a player. You transfer and you go in the portal, you reset your homeostasis. You don't have the love for the locker room. You don't know the playbook. You don't know the terminology. The workout coach may lift more than he runs. Look at Jalen Catalon, preseason All-American at Arkansas. If that dude stayed at Arkansas, he'd have been a first-round draft pick. Now he's a guy that played at UNLV. And I love him. He was one of the best safeties that has come through Arkansas in a long time.
Yeah, he did do well at UNLV. We'll give him that. But like you said, he was the guy in the SEC in the secondary.
Dude. Being All-American. God, I don't know what's wrong with my mic. I'm sorry. Being All-American in the SEC or preseason All-American in the SEC, third team SEC All-American, and a first team. I don't even know what conference UNLV is. No offense. There's been a lot of shifts.
Yeah, there's been a lot of movement.
You know what I'm saying? Like, the proof is real. Like, I got to look because I was a multi-year starter in the SEC. If you're an All-American or All-Conference in the SEC, he could, you can't look in that crystal ball, but stay put, fall in love with the locker room, believe in the culture. The coaches have to change. They have to recruit the locker room. The players have to recruit the players. I mean, like, I would beg you not to leave. If you were talking to leave, I'd be like, dude, right? We're going to shock the world. That is culture, though. Your players have to advocate versus like, man, I'm going to get my money elsewhere. It's like, dude, believe in like the bigger dream.
Yeah.
You got to get back to your like childhood roots of Pee Wee football. You want to win a national championship before you go play in the Super Bowl.
I think your best thing right there, because I already know what y'all are saying, viewers. Well, y'all didn't have NIL back then. The best thing that you said is Dan Campbell. His ability to keep his core guys bought in, and he pays them.
Yeah, it's possible.
He created an environment where a lot of people wanted to be a part of this.
Right.
And that's kind of what we're missing. I mean, when you have your core guys and you're paying them. I mean, we got guys making great money at Arkansas.
Right.
And you can't keep those guys. You're not creating something that they want to be a part of and be able to be those guys within that locker room to say, hey, man, stick this out. Hey, man, stick this out. Hey, man, stick this out. And have people that are on the fence of like, How
hard do you think those guys are going to work, DJ, if you kept a Luke back in the game? You're like, hey, man, you are RB1. You are a tight end one. Like, stay, turn down more money. How much more motivated do you think those guys are going to be to go win a championship now? Because now we're staying, so we can win a championship, get a higher draft pick. We're going to the league, right? Like, that's the point of everyone playing at a high level in college sports is to go to the league. And
so, I think, too, you've created maybe a little bit of grass is always greener mentality in college athletics, right?
Yeah.
Hey, Coach Nutt leaves, or well, I guess end of 2007. Coach Petrino comes in 2008, and it was hard.
It awful.
Was hard.
Awful.
I'd be out.
The people the listeners on this podcast, it was hard. Difficult.
If the portal was a thing back then, Grant,
out.
That's my point.
I made calls without the portal.
And this is nothing against Coach Petrino. He was building something.
Yeah.
Trying to build a culture of toughness and really make everyone decide, do they really want to be here and buy in?
Yeah.
I understand that. It was hard. If the transfer portal was a thing, you would have had maybe 10 people left on the team, and I'm not kidding.
Yeah. Not kidding.
And I mean, it was and
full scholarship guys walked away.
You guys will agree with me. I mean, that is probably part of what molded me into the times in my life. And I know this is so cliche, and people are gonna be like, "Oh, here we go. This is like coach speak, football speak, rah stuff." Honestly, a lot of those days, I'm like, man, if I can get through that, I can get through today. And there's going to be people that try to make fun of that. And I wish that I was just trying to be cliche and say the right thing and whatever. I do think back to those days where I'm like, listen, if I can sit in push-up position for 30 minutes and barely climb my way down a hill and not let my knees touch, not let my stomach touch, but
in the snow,
I can get through today sitting at this desk and focusing on this. I can do it.
Yeah.
Tomorrow's a new day. And so I think, the culture piece of it, that is not something, and I'm going to kind of paraphrase what you guys were just talking about and maybe put it in my own words. Culture is not something that you can buy.
Correct. Look at the Dallas Cowboys.
Culture.
Look at the Dallas Cowboys and their culture. That's a great example. Look at it. Right.
It has to be built. And in order for a sustainable foundation and culture to be built, you've got to stay. But you also have to. There's a part of that the university is responsible for in today's day and age. You are going to have to pay some guys and really figure out who those key people are, and really get everything embodied around them and have them help lead that. But if everybody's thinking, "Oh, the grass is greener," right?
Yeah.
We went 6-6 this year. The grass is greener. Then you're going to have a continual structure or culture that's built on a foundation of cards. That is going to crumble every year, and you got to try to build it back up over 12 games, over 12 months, through the spring, through the summer, and it's just this constant rotation of people. And we've got to figure out a way, and okay, let's go figure out pay a bunch of money. Didn't work out for Ole Miss this year.
Yeah,
they won 3 more games than we did.
Yeah,
and we should have matched them, and we did shell out $10-12 million in NIL last year to get there. Shoulda, coulda, woulda on our record, of course. But
good point.
I would love to see, and I'm old school, right? Didn't get paid to be at Arkansas, and I didn't have the chance. I mean, you could transfer, If you went to the SEC and stayed the same caliber of conference that you were in at that point in time, you sat out, I'm pretty sure it was 2 years if you didn't have a red shirt. And so there was a major penalty. So if you look at what happened, though, it was really, really hard in 2008. We were a decent team. I think we missed a field goal at Mississippi State to win 6 games. Kind of happy we didn't get a bowl game that year because bowl practice would have been another not been good. But in 2009, we got much better. 2010, really, really good. 2011, really, really, really good. You started to see the thing get built, but it took time, and people had to buy in and be willing to stay to create what that was.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
If you're going to get a guy now that's like, hey, it's all about me making 500 G's this year, or I'm out, and you get a bunch of people like that because that's what everybody else is doing. I don't know how you sustain it unless you're unless you're an Ohio State or someone like that who has just this unbelievable tradition that is built into their program that people won't leave. I just looked through it on my phone when we were talking here of the top portal transfers for this year. There's people leaving schools that were contributors that are going to the first 12-team playoff. Like, I don't know how much better culture you can get besides, hey, we're going to go play for a national championship. You contributed on this team, and now you're out. I mean, so to me, that is where it's so much more transactional than it is traditional now.
Yeah.
And college football, what I loved about it for so long is it was all about pride and tradition, and it wasn't about the money. And now it's transactional, not traditional.
Yeah.
And it's hurt the sport.
This is something I want to make sure we get the point across. We're not trying to come up with some solution to prevent players from transferring. That's done with. You're going to lose guys to the portal every single
guys
year.
In the playoffs are leaving.
There are some guys on the team that I feel like you should easily keep, and they're deciding to leave. That's the issue right now. That's what we want to point out. And you talked about, the funds at the N.I.L. where Arkansas is compared to Ole Miss. Ole Miss has much larger collective. You look at Texas, I think they may be number 1 with over $20 million. Right behind them, top 5 somewhere is Texas A&M.
A&M,
another one. And then you have LSU sitting at number 2. Not a great year for LSU.
Yeah.
And so then you have guys like Oregon who are below us doing just fine. I mean, so it's just, yes, it's a big deal, and you're going to have to pay players. We know that. But my thing is, like I said, the players that should be easy to keep, that it's so much of a deal for them when they can see the writing on the wall and they no longer believe in this, and that's the reason they're leaving. That's when you have a huge issue. Guys, there's no reason, and you talk about a culture and stuff, and a lot of the reason we stayed because we had some really good position coaches that we loved, and it was really huge. I don't understand, before a few of these guys transferred, why are they calling me, asking me, what do you think about this situation? I'm like, why is the relationship not good enough for you to be able to reach out to somebody within that program and have that conversation with them? I got high school recruits calling me right now saying, do you think this is a good place for us to stay committed, or should we go ahead and decommit and go somewhere else? And I'm just like, what the hell is happening? Yeah. And the thing is, like, I think players on the team, even recruits, I don't know what conversations are happening, but us. We are extremely critical here on 4th and 5. You know what I mean? And we say great things. We say bad things. I've got on players. I did all this. But one thing that I have seen that comes with that, guys don't like being BS'd. And I think some people have an issue with some of the things that are said. And sometimes in Malachi's situation, I think he could potentially feel like he was just being BS'd. And so you have that aspect of they really need to find this line of, now it is professional, but now you have to go an extra mile to build those relationships to make people want to be with you. And I think that was just missing. Another part too, which was fascinating to me, I did hear this about a few of the O-line guys that left, because Kudus, you would have thought he was a Razorback ride or die, We also had a soundbite interview of Josh Braun talking about how pumped up he is of this team and making it to a bowl game. Am I the only one who remembers all the bowl shirts that they wore as soon as we became bowl eligible, and they all had bowl bound. We can't wait to go to the bowl. This is what this program is all about.
Yeah.
Everybody's gone. Nobody cares about the bowl game anymore. When I talk about Kudus and Braun, and then we have now 3 other offensive linemen also leaving, guys, you realize we only got 1 backup for the bowl game right now, unless they bring up some guys who've been redshirted all year and haven't played at all. So hopefully nobody gets hurt.
Gosh.
This is what kind of threw me off. I heard that they felt like Coach Mateos was too hard on him, yelled at him, talked bad to him. You know me. I said, if you watched any episode of 4th and 5, I don't know why you think you would have anything good to say.
Yeah.
You know, keep it a stack. What are we talking about?
Let's go.
It's like that. It's hard for me to wrap my mind around that these grown ass men, 300+ pound men, surely that can't be the only reason you feel the need to go ahead and leave this program. And then that's where it gets interesting, because as much as we got dog cussed each and every day, Chip Long was my position coach. I couldn't tell you how many times I wanted to drop kick him in the face.
Yeah.
But he also, in those moments, found out how to push me to that limit. But I also knew he had my back at the same time, so I could deal with it, because I knew he cared about not just DJ, the football player, but DJ. He knew I had more to me. Do you think something's missing in that regard?
Yes.
Because you heard a little bit with the tight end coach, when 2 guys leave and there's an attitude problem, boom, gone. Now Luka's gone too. And now you have this with the offensive line coach. I mean,
yes.
And I know the coaches watch this, and I'm okay with me sitting here talking to them right now saying, you got to do better. And hopefully you should be having the same conversations too, right?
Oh, no doubt, man. It is about trust. And we, the 3 of us, have a very unique experience. We got to experience 2 locker rooms, 2 head coaches, 2 offensive and defensive coordinators, different sets of position coaches. And there's a quote that, I heard years ago is, I don't care how much you know until I know how much you care. Look, the secret's out, right? Everybody kind of already has the brand, especially in this day and age. A coach is going to get, are you a player's coach, or are you a, Bobby P coach? Bobby was not the nicest guy. And the problem with Bobby, look at Reggie Herring. Who was meaner, Reggie Herring or Bobby Petrino? Reggie.
Yeah.
But Reggie loved you. Reggie wouldn't only die for you, he'd kill for you. He was crazy. Like
he probably would,
that
literally.
Alpha brand. He would lose color in his lips and would foam at the mouth. He was crazy. And we dug that. And he knew that, and he loved us, and he would ride us harder. He was the hardest coach I ever played for in my life, including Bobby Petrino or Willie Robinson. It didn't matter. But the love, DJ, the respect, now what you're messing with is the NFL, right? Someone told me when Bobby came from Atlanta, remember Jamal Anderson, Chris Houston, they were all there. Yeah. And so we'd all talk and stuff, and they'd be like, man, these players are worth more than the coaches. And the players would talk back to him and be like, hey, you're going to get fired before I do. Now these coaches can't treat these kids like they used to, right? Chip Long dog cussing you. Back in the portal days, you just smile at him and be like, all right, see you, boss. I'm going to go get my cake and a better relationship with the coach. You're going to miss the locker room, right? That's where the locker room and the importance is so important. But the coaches now, that's where I was saying, like, hey, coaches, if you do listen, like, man, this is going to be a hard tradition. Teach an old dog new tricks. Can you now be a lover, right? Being a hard coach, breaking down film, being an asshole, I could do that all day long, baby. But now you're going to lose your top dudes, straight up. And I don't love it either. But the age-old question of sports and life, what are you going to do about it?
Well, I'm glad you brought that up, because as we talk through this, I think there's a spot for being coached hard, right? I mean,
yeah.
I don't want to coach.
It's a necessary evil in certain aspects. But to your point, DJ, I think that you're a lot more receptive to it. Some kids will never be receptive to it. That's just not how they jive, right? And okay, I guess, but you're a lot more receptive to it when like, I can get coached hard, but then after practice, I can go to that person's office and have a conversation about something that's happened in my life that has nothing to do with football, and I got someone there that's a sounding board. I think that, and Matt, to your point about Coach Petrino being at Atlanta and all of those things, nowadays coaches are going to have to start figuring out how some of these NFL coaches keep cultures built over time, because that is a completely different dynamic.
What an opportunity, Grant.
When I was there, going from Arkansas, which was a very much, you do it the way I tell you to do it because I told you to do it that way.
Right.
That's what works. You're going to do it that way, or you don't play. No big deal.
Right.
To, going into a locker room and the guys that are trusted, that the coaches can trust, that they know what they're doing. It's much more of a, hey, we're thinking about this play. What do you guys think about this?
Yes.
How do y'all feel about running something like this? What do you feel about this scheme? Do you think that's something we can be successful at? It's much more of a partnership than a dictatorship. I'm not saying that Arkansas is a dictatorship today. I don't know that. I'm not in the program anymore. But what I will tell you is that it's got to be a partnership now, and these kids have got to feel like they've got a voice. And right, wrong, or indifferent, people that are listening to this, that's part of the culture piece that if they're bought in and they feel like they've got a voice on how things go, then maybe they stick around. Maybe they don't. I don't know the right answer. If I knew the crystal ball, the right potion and all this to pour into the cauldron, I'd be writing a book to sell to all the coaches across America. And, we'd have some new podcast equipment. I mean, I'd retire. I'd be doing this full time.
Yeah, that'd be nice. We'll work there one day. Hey, Matt, I know you have to leave, so we're going to continue this. Y'all stick with us, though. Grant and I got to finish this out. I actually got the first step in a solution to actually help out coaches in this NIL era. And I guess you got to tune in later for that, Matt. Real quick, before you go, we also have our partnership with Oakland, and we got to go ahead and put together our 4th and 5 parlay. I need one game. Who do you got? SMU at Penn State.
Ooh, SMU at Penn State. I think the Ponies got embarrassed. They got their lesson. Is it at Penn?
At Penn State.
It's 11 a.m. kick. I'm looking at that. I got it wrong versus SMU. I think they're going to be pissed. That's be a great game. I love the playoffs. Let me just say, all right. I want to go SMU, but I think Penn State's going to get him at home.
I don't know what that means. So
Penn State.
All right, Penn State. All right.
Yeah, I love SMU. What they've done at the program. See, like Arkansas, what an opportunity. A no-name team for decades, right? This NIL, you got an opportunity to be great again, man. So, but I am going Penn State.
All right, we'll lock that in for you, Matt. Have a good night. We're going to go ahead and wrap this up, all right?
See ya. Go Hogs.
Yep, see you. Go Hogs. All right, Grant. So let's go ahead and finish off our 4th and 5 parlay real quick. I'll let you – what game do you want? You want Notre Dame, Clemson, or Ohio State? What game do you want?
I'll take it. Let me look these.
Here, I'll just give you one. All right, who you got, Notre Dame or Indiana? It's at Notre Dame. It's going to be snowy.
Yeah, a night game?
I believe so. I could be wrong.
I'm going to go Notre Dame. I don't know that Indiana's got it quite ready yet. I mean, flash in the pan maybe this year. We'll see if it's consistent. I'll go Notre Dame. They've been there, done that.
God, these are tough. These literally are anyone's game. Clemson in Texas, I don't think Clemson's that good, and I still don't think Texas is that good. And now this game will be in Austin, and I'll take Texas on this one. All right, we need our last one. Tennessee, Ohio State at Ohio State.
Yeah, I think we go Ohio State there. They lost to Oregon in kind of a weird, fluky game in Oregon, so I think let's go there. We beat Tennessee, so surely Ohio State can beat Tennessee. But yeah, I don't know. I'm not a big time believer in Tennessee. It's also going to be up north cold. It's going to be really cool to see these teams that don't typically go play these places go and play there. But I'm going to go Ohio State.
Okay, so we're not picking any upsets. We're taking the home teams on every single one. And I'll say this is very difficult to pick because I really do believe any of these teams can win. So best of luck to you. That's going to be our 4th and 5 parlay. You can catch that on the Oakland Sports Betting app. All right, Grant, let's get into our last little bit and wrap this up. So what's the first step in getting a handle on this NIL situation? And I think the first step is taking it out of the coaches' hands. Coaches just need to focus on coaching. And I think that's when they thrive. And they don't need to be now having conversations about players coming to their office and asking about money and doing this. They shouldn't. And they don't do it in the NFL either. That's where Stanford went the right direction, got a guy, Andrew Luck, and now he's the GM. You have to now get a GM to handle this stuff. That way, coaches can just be out of it. In the NFL, when guys are itching about money, you know what the coaches say? Go get your money, man. Good luck to you. Let me know how it goes. And it's completely out of their hands. And they advocate, man, I really want this guy, but that's up to the GM. I'm just going to focus on this. And I think that would be pretty special and a really good start. And what comes with that now, I think, is a very important individual who is a people. You have to be a salesman. You got to be a people person. Some people think, oh, you just need a finance guy to do all that. No, 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 no. You need a guy who knows the game and knows people.
You need a guy on his staff that is that guy. But
yes,
you person that's doing the talking and doing the deals, to your point, to be a people person and care.
Yes, yes. You also need somebody who is extremely good at evaluating talent and can make those decisions of like, is Braylon Russell worth $500K or not? And it depends on how much we got to work with, you know? And that's all they need to be focused on is building this team and putting their dollar in the best spot. And I think that is the first step, and that person is going to be essential. A lot of these top NFL teams most likely are ran by a really good GM who finds those players like, dang, how'd you dude in the third round? Dang, how'd you pick that guy up in the sixth round? Who's notorious for it was the New England Patriots. I mean, oh my gosh. He had a guy on his staff named Nick Caserio, and I'm not sure if I'm saying his name right, but a just savant at evaluating talent that was underutilized in other places. And so you can pick your main guys that you pay, and then you have a team full of other role players who know their role. That's where the people person comes in, of convincing these guys, hey, I'm telling you right now, this is as good as you're going to get, but you got an opportunity to really succeed here. And then that GM then is tasked with the decision. If those guys do well, then you have conversations of like, hey, best of luck to you, man. Go do your thing. But we're going to keep our core guys. But if you become one of those core guys, great. We'll pay you for it. And so, I mean, who that guy is, I look at people like the people person who can evaluate talent. Somebody like Dow Loggins, who's now the head coach at App State, who was at South Carolina, cut from the Houston Nut cloth and knows football. And I'll tell you, he's that person who every time he sees somebody, hey, man, he is that type of person. He would have been a great person. Obviously, he wants to be a football coach. And so who that guy is, we don't know, but they need to get him on staff and get him on staff now. And Coach Pittman, Hunter Yurachek, Coach Petrino, they need to let that guy do his thing. Now, obviously, they have conversations with coaches. What do you need? But when it comes to the money, that's the way. That way, Coach Pittman can say, hey, man, I'll try to go to bat for you, but I have nothing to do with this, you know?
And go watch. The best thing you can do is go watch Hard Knocks.
Yeah.
If you don't know what we're talking about, and this is a foreign subject to you, go watch Hard Knocks. You can probably watch the first couple of seasons on like YouTube or something. You don't have to go get an HBO account. And you'll see that it does a really good job of showing like the player-coach relationship and what goes on there. And then inside the GM's office, when they're making these decisions as a whole like organization, right? It's a front office. If you don't have a front office, you're in bad shape at this point. So go get a front office. And when we say front office, we mean a general manager, a GM to make these player personnel decisions and give them the power to do it. To your point, DJ, in a lot of these Hard Knock episodes, and when you and I were playing, you see it like somebody gets paid. The first person to go up to him is their coach, like, man, I heard you got paid.
Yeah.
I heard you got paid, man.
Congratulations.
Like, I didn't know how much it was going to be.
Yeah.
So they asked me my 2 cents. I'm like, yeah, we need to keep this guy. He's a player. And they're like, okay, we'll take care of it. You know, but I'll tell you this, the GM also, just because the coach says we need to keep this guy, he's a ball player, the GM still has to make the decision of, is the money worth the player for the entire organization? And what does that do for us from this year, next year, and 5 years down the line of tying up cash? And so it will be interesting. I think that's a great call out by you, though, is getting a front office built where coaches can coach. They can do what they are designed to do, and what they've always wanted to do is handle on the field stuff and give somebody all the off the field stuff. Because truthfully, being a college football coach, there's enough time spent recruiting and doing everything else that you got to do in order to have a successful football team. Now you got to worry about all the money side of things and who's happy, who's not happy, and all this kind of. They need to have someone else worry about that whole aspect of now what is a business.
Yeah, and like I said, that person I think could be huge, and it would help. And I think it would take pressure off of coaches to let them get back to doing what they signed up to do. That'd be big. And like you said, front offices are huge, and NFL's been doing it a long time. It's funny because you talk about, like I said, this person, they need to let this person do their job. I wish Dallas Cowboy fans, I bet you, how long have you waited? I wish Jerry would stop making all these dang calls and just like, stay out of it, Jerry. Let the GM handle it. Shows to example. Give him his role. Trust in it. Has to be great evaluator of talent, a salesperson, a people person, and he has to know the game of football. Be nice if he knew a thing about numbers or two, but I would say that's probably your least important thing.
You got somebody. You just got to have somebody that knows it, right? That's his right hand man. If you're not a numbers guy, you got to be. That's got to be your right hand man. He's making sure that you're not getting in hot water on that perspective. But yeah, I mean, you've got to have a relationship builder to come in and really sell somebody on a program and their future in that program.
All right. I like it. Y'all go ahead and send in your comments right now. Who you think out there right now would be a great GM for the University of Arkansas? It's crazy we're even talking about this now. Could you imagine back when we played? There's going to be a GM one day. Oh, my gosh. Oh, that'd be insane. Grant,
I got a few in mind. I got a few in mind, DJ. Maybe make some phone calls.
Okay, make some phone calls, man. Make a few. All right, man. Have a good one, Grant. I appreciate your time. And y'all stay with us. We still got much more coming up as far as 4th and 5. We've been kind of taking a little time off because we're trying to put together our off-season plan and then getting ready for the bowl game. We're even potentially talking about having a 4th and 5 meetup in Memphis for the bowl game. I mean, I don't know if we'll even have a roster for the game, but we'll be there. And so we'll figure out if we can do up a little meet and greet and maybe do something live. I've been working on that too, Grant. I'm really trying to take 4th and 5 live on location places so we can have people be a part of the show. Grant, have a good night, man. I appreciate you.
All right, man. Thank you. Go Hogs.
Yep. Go Hogs. All right, real quick. I know we just wrapped it up, but as soon as we got off the stream, Grant, would you just show me?
I just opened up Twitter. And Addison Nichols has entered the transfer portal.
We got 5 linemen for the bowl game. Grant, you still got a kick sliding?
I do, man. I don't have any eligibility. But hey, Christmas is coming up, though. I am eligible for N.I.L. I could maybe...
All right, man. That's all I had to hop back on. God, what's happening? All right, that's it. Grant, have a good one. Bye.
See ya.